Okay, everybody, I got a real treat for you today. Have I ever told you that I can pogo stick with no hands? It's true. I may be a middle-aged mom, but actually I'm super cool and hip and young and fun. I want to tell you all the backstory behind how this happened and how I've still got it. Video evidence coming. But first, let me introduce myself. My name's Amber Deibert. I'm a performance coach and I help high achievers get out of their own way. A lot of times we're in our own head. We have beliefs that are not helping us. I'm going to give you a three-part series and I'm going to teach you all about these funny lessons that I've learned and funny lessons that I've reframed in my mind recently and come up with a completely different story about them, which has been really powerful and really helpful for me. Okay, so let's get into it. For those of you who followed along, you know that I grew up super poor. My family didn't have any money at all. We were a family of eight. We had $12,000 a year to live on. And my mom said that sometimes she would pay the mortgage payment, and that was $500. And my dad had a failed business. And so we were paying off $80,000 of debt from that failed business. So she'd pay $500 to the mortgage payment and she'd pay $500 to the debt repayment. And that was all the money we had for the month. And that was it. And she still had six kids at home that she had to feed and clothes and everything else. So it was pretty wild. So, needless to say, my family didn't have money for me to take dance lessons, which I was obsessed. I was obsessed with dancing. I was obsessed with gymnastics. I taught myself how to do cartwheels. I taught myself how to do back somersaults. I taught myself how to do handstands. I taught myself how to do back handsprings. Evidence of that is coming up soon as well. And I'm going to just say, for those of you who know how to do back handsprings, I later took real classes and realized I was doing them all wrong. But regardless, I'm very proud of the fact that I taught myself how to do all of that. So I didn't ever have lessons. I didn't ever take classes. I was never part of a team. And then come middle school, my school offered a dance class. And I was like, this is a dream come true. You can dance at school. This sounds amazing. So I started learning dance. And if you've ever seen people dance, there's so much technique, there's so much ballet that goes into it. And I had no idea how to do those things, but I had rhythm. I loved it. I had emotion. I could move my body. The next year, I auditioned and I made the dance team. It was amazing. It was so cool. And then my 10th grade year, I auditioned for the high school dance team and I made that dance team and I was so proud. And then my junior year, I did it again. My senior year, I did it again. Going into my senior year, we had the dance company and we had the drill team. And the drill team was the competitive dance team. They went and competed at a lot of competitions. They went to state championships and they were like the elite, cool girls, better team, whatever. And I didn't know anything about that world. So I hadn't auditioned. I didn't think I was good enough. And then my junior year, one of the coaches actually wrote me a note, sent it to me in class, and was like, hey, will you please audition for the drill team? Which I was like, okay. They had seen me at the dance performance. They were impressed with my skills and they asked me to audition. Like, let's just pause here. Someone who never had lessons, someone who was dying trying to figure out how to do turns and try to hold her body in the right position. Let me tell you something that I would do. And this is something that I still use to this day. I remember my 10th grade year, our coach she was so phenomenal and she was so rigid. She was so specific. And I'm not somebody who's like super specific, super rigid. And so it was like, she was wonderful and compassionate and also so strict about how it had to go. And she would just yell at me during practices, Amber, get your turns together. Amber, you've got to figure this out. She's like, I'm going to take you out of the routine if you can't figure this out. And so I was trying to figure out how to get my body to do what it needed to do. And a lot of the girls around me had been in dance lessons since they were 4 years old, 5 years old, 6 years old. And so they'd been doing this, didn't even have to think about it. It was just who they were. That it was just like they knew the technique and their muscles knew how to do that. And so one thing I would do when I was trying to get my body to do turns is I would imagine a ballerina in my head. And did you know that when you visualize, it's the same thing as if you rehearse it actually? You can do mental rehearsal or you can do actual rehearsal, and both of them count because your subconscious doesn't know which one's real and which one's not. So I would visualize in my head what a ballerina looked like. I visualized how tall they were, what their posture looked like, how light they looked, how delicate they looked. And I would visualize that. And then I would try to do my turns and I would get it. It was amazing. I didn't even have the actual muscle memory or the technique or the years of practice. But as long as I visualized myself doing that, it worked. And I did the same thing mountain biking. As soon as I was learning to mountain bike, I would watch somebody do it. And then I would visualize them in my head and think about how they positioned themselves and where they had their weight. And then I would try that thing and I would do it. So it works. Anytime you're trying to do something, try the visual rehearsal and imagine somebody who is really good at this. Imagine how they do it and then just pretend to be them. It works. Okay, so my senior year, we had these two amazing coaches for drill team. By the way, I made the drill team. I made it onto this elite team. It was new, it was intense, it was something I hadn't experienced before, and it was very fun. I'm very competitive. And so I was like, man, don't mess up, Amber. You've got to figure this out. You've got to make sure that you get the moves right. You've got to make sure that you do it the right way, have the best technique. If you mess up, you're taking the whole team down with you. So we had these two amazing coaches, and they came up with a brilliant idea. One of the types of dance that you would do was called a prop routine, where you had swords or people that had the wooden guns that they would throw. Maybe you have flags, whatever kind of props you want. And they had the idea to use pogo sticks as our prop for our prop routine. So they choreographed a dance to the Austin Powers music. Dun 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 dun. And it was so fun. And at the beginning of the summer, they gave everybody pogo sticks and they said, okay, your job is to learn how to pogo stick. And let's be honest, I'm not great at doing homework. I practiced a few times, but I was so bad at it. Turns out I wasn't the only one. By the end of the summer, the whole team came back and they were like, okay, let's see how you are at pogo sticking. And one person could kind of do it, but nobody could jump on beat. Nobody could stay in one place. You kind of like move around. And if you think about a dance routine, you need to be in your positions, you need to be in your formation. And people couldn't stay on for very long. They couldn't really do any tricks. But we just kept trying, kept trying, kept trying. And as one person figured it out, then another person would figure it out. And then they'd see that they could do it. And then I could do it. And we all just kept working together. And they also asked, hey, can anybody do any acrobatics? And I raised my hands. I was like, I can do a back handspring. It was not pretty, but I'm very proud of the fact that I self-taught myself how to do a back handspring. And it was so fun. There's nothing better than just flipping yourself through the air when you feel so excited. So let me show you a little clip. I'm right in the very front of the routine. I'll give you a little arrow of who I am, and you can see a little clip of the routine of us dancing with pogo sticks. I was so jazzed. This was at the state competition. I was so jazzed and so hyped that I almost just did a back tuck instead of a back handspring. I barely touched the ground. The point is, we won the state championship with that routine. We were the state champions, and we hadn't been state champions for a long time. Our team won. I think we won state champions in a few other routines as well. It was the most amazing team to be part of. It was so incredible that we came from not being able to jump on pogo sticks at all to being able to jump without hands, to be able to jump on beat, to be able to jump facing the same direction. And good news, I still have it today. The reason I want to share this story with you is because from the outside, a lot of people call this resilience or grit. They say, oh man, you must be really resilient. You must just be really determined. And I do think those things are true. And it's interesting because I've never actually identified as someone who's terribly resilient. A lot of the times when I look back at my story, I see, yes, I made it through, but I made it through because I had to, because I didn't have any other choice. I was forced with really difficult situations and I just had to survive them. It wasn't like I was like, okay, gung ho, let's go. Like, let's do this. Let's survive this. This looks fun. Let's try to see how we dig ourselves out of poverty. Like, that wasn't my mentality at all. It was more of trying to convince myself that this was the only thing that I could do. And so I don't see it as a lot of resilience. And I bring that up because so many times when I'm in coaching sessions with so many of you, I hear the same stories. You completely discount what you've done. You completely discount how far you've come. You completely discount all your achievements. You're like, well, I just had to do that. So it doesn't really count as resilience. It doesn't really count as grit. And I want to challenge you to reframe how you think about that. What if it is resilience? And I'll be totally honest. I call out a lot of my clients on this. I say, you're incredibly determined and you probably don't see yourself that way. But what I do know about you is that you're very stubborn. So even if you don't see it as resilience, as determination, recognize that you're wildly stubborn. The next time you come up against a challenge and you feel like you're stuck, you feel like you're not going to be able to make it through this, you don't know how you're going to overcome this, remind yourself of all the times in the past that you have overcome it. Remind yourself of all the times that you figured it out. You have a 100% track record of always figuring it out. That's who you are. Call it resilience, call it determination, or call it pure stubbornness. I know you because I am you. You've got it. And you're going to figure out this next piece as well. I want you to reframe everything that you've thought about in the past. And I want you to reframe all those stories that you're telling about yourself, about who you are and how you are. And I want you to see how wildly resilient you are. Resilience isn't somebody who goes into a situation and is like jazzed about how challenging it's going to be. Resilience is just someone who bounces back. It doesn't matter if the bounce back is cute. It doesn't matter if the bounce back is fun. It doesn't matter if the bounce back was enjoyable. However you got there, that's resilience. You bounced back. You were able to recover. Maybe you flailed and looked horrible as you were recovering. That doesn't matter. You still recovered. Give yourself the credit for it. So the next time you face your next challenge and you feel stuck, remind yourself of your track record. Remind yourself of all the times that you've gotten through this before and all the times that you've made it through and all the times that you've figured it out. You've never not figured it out. So remind yourself that you have a great track record. And even though right now, looking forward, you can't figure out how you're going to solve this one, remind yourself and reassure yourself that you will figure it out. And the most important thing you can do is care for yourself, be compassionate towards yourself, support yourself, try to not beat yourself up, just be kind to yourself, and you're going to figure this out. I want to give a quick shout out. I'm doing way more speaking engagements these days. It's so much fun. I love coming and sharing these stories with teams, with sales teams, with high achievers, with performers. I turn it into a workshop and we make it applicable to you and help you get really motivated and really pumped out of it. If you're interested in that, you can check out my page, mentalmastery.com/speaking. You can see examples of me speaking, see what my rates are, reach out to my team. Everything is there. And I hope this was helpful. Stay tuned for part 2 next week.